This mathematician's name is given to a line that passes through the orthocenter, circumcenter, and centroid of a triangle. His phi function yields the amount of numbers between 1 and n that are relatively prime to n. He solved the 7 bridges of Königsberg problem, and his polyhedral formula states that vertices plus faces minus edges equals 2. The author of the identity involving e to the I theta is, for 10 points, what Swiss mathematician who is the namesake of the base of the natural logarithm? And the answer is Leonhard Euler. The shallow diagonals of Pascal's triangle sum to these numbers, which are expressed in closed form by Benet's formula. The ratio between this sequence's consecutive terms approaches the golden ratio. Originally used to model breeding rabbits, it is defined recursively with the nth term equal to the sum of the n minus first and n minus second terms. For 10 points, name this sequence of numbers that begins 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. And the answer is Fibonacci sequence. Feuerbach's circle can be drawn by connecting certain points of these figures. The center of that circle, also known as the 9-point circle, lies on the Euler line in one of these shapes. One can calculate their area using the semi-perimeter according to Hero's formula. Other formulas used with these shapes include the law of sines and the Pythagorean theorem. For 10 points, name these shapes whose interior angles sum to 180 degrees and which contain 3 sides. And the answer is triangles. If a line with this property is tangent to a curve at point A, the curve is not differentiable at A. The tangent function's asymptotes are this type of line. If a line of this type passes through the graph of a relation twice, the relation is not a function, which is called the namesake test of this type of line. For 10 points, give this term that describes lines like x equals 3, which have undefined slopes and are perpendicular to horizontal lines. And the answer is vertical lines. According to the Green-Tau theorem, the sequence of these numbers contains arbitrarily long arithmetic sequences. Each of these numbers larger than 3 is congruent to either 1 or 5 modulo 6. Whether even numbers larger than 2 can be written as a sum of 2 of these is the subject of Goldbach's conjecture. The Sieve of Eratosthenes can find, for 10 points, what kind of number whose only divisors are itself and 1. And the answer is prime numbers. The graphs of these types of functions are used to approximate integrals in Simpson's rule. The discriminant of this type of polynomial determines the number of real and imaginary roots in the polynomial and has the form b squared minus 4ac. For 10 points, name these second-degree polynomial functions with parabolic graphs which can be written in the form ax squared plus bx plus c. And the answer is quadratic polynomials or quadratic equations. This scientist's eponymous algorithm subtracts multiples of one of its inputs from the other to find greatest common factors. He also lends his name to systems in which, given a line and a point not on it, there is exactly one line parallel to the given line through the given point. For 10 points, name this ancient Greek who started from 5 axioms and 5 postulates, including the parallel postulate, in his set of 13 books about geometry, The Elements. And the answer is Euclid. The integral of the Dirac delta function over any interval containing 0 has this value. The probability of any event plus the probability of the event's complement equals this number. It represents true in Boolean algebra. The logarithm of this number with any base is 0, since any number b to this power equals b. It is the multiplicative identity since it times any number x equals x. For 10 points, name this smallest positive integer. And the answer is 1. This property is the defining characteristic of an abelian group. Composition of functions and matrix multiplication do not generally have this property. Subtraction also does not have this property because 8 minus 5 is 3, but 5 minus 8 is negative 3. For 10 points, name this property that states A plus B equals B plus A. That is, that swapping the order of the numbers does not change the result. And the answer is the commutative property. Each ratio in the law of sines is equal to this measurement for the circle circumscribed about the triangle. Given 3 points on a circle, Thales' theorem says that if 2 of the points form this, then the 3 points can form a right angle. This line segment is the longest possible chord of a circle since it passes through the center. Pi is defined as the ratio between the circumference and, for 10 points, what measurement equal to twice the circle's radius. And the answer is diameter.